Okay,
Joanne.
here we go. I would like to call the village board meeting to order for Tuesday, October 22nd. Roll call, please.
Trustee Allison Williams.
Present.
Trustee Paul.
Present.
Trustee Zerbal.
Here.
Trustee Mark Williams.
Here.
Trustee Bukowski.
Here.
Trustee Melchesky.
Here.
President Kardowski.
Here, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember all our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I need action on the agenda. I have no changes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action on open minutes from September 24th, 2019.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6, comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state name and address, limited to 5 minutes. We can only listen and not discuss the item. Personnel issues cannot be discussed, and we are not able to take action. Is there any comments from the public on items not on the agenda? Any comments on items not on the agenda? Okay, moving on to number 7. Written communications and/or announcements. I have a couple. First of all, I had Terry put in your packet a little information sheet about leaves and our trucks, and I just thought it was like a lot of nice information. People don't realize that it takes 4 days per truck to switch our trucks over from leaf trucks to snowplow trucks. So just a little bit of tidbits for you to tell any of your constituents. But I also wanted to say that Francine, our GIS coordinator, created an app. So people call all the time. They call the village office many, many, many times a day. Where's the leaf truck? When's the leaf truck coming? So if people want to go to ashwaubenon.com/leaves, there is an app on there that shows you exactly where the leaf truck is, the zone they're in, when they were in the zone you're in, when they're going to be at the zone you're in, and then they can figure out the leaf truck. Maybe that will help people to know where the leaf truck is, because our staff in Public Works do take a lot of calls on the leaf truck. So just wanted everybody to know that. So ashwaubenon.com/leaves, and they will get the app. Okay.
Is that, Mary, is that something they can also just go to the regular Ashwaubenon website and find it there?
I believe so. I believe it is on there, but okay. If you go directly to that, it just zooms you right to the map with the fancy little pictures or the colors and the zones and where the leaf truck is. So, and then I have a few things. I just wanted to recognize some of our staff. You know, we get great things about our staff, and not everybody gets to be privy to all of this information. But I wanted to mention, number 1, we have a first responder in our public safety department, Joe Wisloski. He was the first responder of the year for the 4th district. He received his award down in Madison from Dave Steffen, and I think that's really great that he was picked for that. He's been, what, Randy, like a 23-year first responder, paid on call. That's number 1. Number 2, Melody Escato, who works in our Park and Rec department. She was named the Young Professional of the Year for the aquatic portion of the Recreation Department. And also David Rohrig was named the Young Professional of the Year in Recreation from the state. So I think those are really great recognition of how great a staff we have here, and I think it's really good. So, okay.
Just to circle back on Chris's question regarding where to find the for residents, if they go to our website and then would go under Public Works and Streets, On the sidebar, there's some subheadings underneath there, and there's one that says fall leaf pickup. And from there, then you can, there's a great big giant map that you can then click on to get to the fall leaf collection. So you could go either as Mary described or under the Public Works webpage.
Good idea, because I'm sure everybody else same way. That's, this time of year, that's the most common question I get.
Yeah.
You know, I think that people listening aren't going to like this, but we've got to be patient. I get the calls too. But, you know, we can't send out a truck every day and get leaves picked up every day from the same area. People just have to be patient. There are other things that come into play besides leaf picking up. We've got to pick up garbage and be ready for the winter and et cetera, et cetera. So I think people just need to be patient, and it will get done.
Yep, yep.
It's also listed as an alert in the orange band at the very, very, very top of the entire page, because Jeremy's always on stuff. And because it's the most popular thing, if we all read the alert at the top, it would send us that link as well.
There you go. Or ashwaubenon.com/leaves. That's my easy way of getting there.
Yes. But as Ken said, when it's a nice weekend, everybody in the entire village has collected their leaves, so please be patient.
Yes, yes. Okay, so moving on from that, does anybody else have any other written communications or announcements? Okay. So number 8, action on consent agenda. Consent agenda 8A, action on operator's license. 8B, village investment report. 8C, department reports for October. 8D, budgeted expenditures. And 8E, general fund financial report, September year-to-date. Does anybody want anything pulled?
No, I just have my usual question for Greg. We're doing all right budget-wise. Okay, I go through these figures somewhat, but it's difficult to get them all, or get an arm wrapped around them, so I just want to make sure we're still good shape. Okay,
Greg has been very, very busy working on the 2020 budget.
okay.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. No public hearings. Number 10, action items. 10A, action on appeal of denied operator's license, Giuseppe Mascalo. Patrick.
Mr. Mascalo had applied for an operator's license, was denied, and he had thus appealed to the Public Works and Protection, where they approved to this point for Mr. Mascalo to present his appeal to the village board. He is in attendance if you have any questions for him at this time.
Anybody have any questions?
We looked at this, it was not a unanimous decision by the committee, but,
Is this the same one?
yes.
Yep.
Yep. We looked at it, and the vote was, I forget, it was 3-2 or
We did too.
3-2.
3-2, something like that, to approve it. So if anybody has any questions, the gentleman is here, but
Did you want to speak on your behalf?
If you'd like to come up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you.
pull the microphone up so people can hear.
This good?
Yeah.
All right, my name is Giuseppe Mascolo. Address is 4444 Nakoma Trail, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54313. I do have my general manager here, Brooke, if you're wondering who was sitting next to me at the restaurant, just as a character reference in case anyone had any other questions. Basically, I just wanted to say again, thank you for your time, and I do appreciate you letting me come before you to speak on my behalf. I think I'm a good candidate to get the bartender's license. I know I was denied, but I am at a point in my life where I've been a little more responsible. I'm trying to get my life back on track. I know I did get in trouble, and that was one of the reasons why I was denied. But that has been about 5 years ago now. And today I sit before you as a 30-year-old, just trying to, push forward. And this is one thing that my employers were pushing me to do. I was just a regular server at the restaurant. It seems like the mic's cutting out a little bit, but I was the regular server, and they saw that I had some pretty good communication skills and just worked well with people. So they kind of pushed me to bartend. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? Finally, when I decided to do it, they had kind of decided, hey, if you get your bartender's license, you can close the restaurant, work at night, get the better shifts, make more money. And, honestly, I'm trying to get back into school right now, going back to college. I'm about 15 credits shy of graduating with a bachelor's in psychology and a minor in business from the University of Milwaukee. And I'm not enrolled right now, but I've been saving up and to get back to that point where I can go. So I feel the bartender's license for me is something where I can pick up better hours, more shifts, make some more money to save, and get myself back to school. And yeah, it was a mistake when I filled out the application, not taking enough time to fill it out correctly. But I do know that was my fault, and I just want to say, again, thank you for letting me speak today. Whatever decision you do come to, I will respect that, and I just am, happy to have a chance to speak my mind about this. So if there are any other questions, I will take that. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I will tell you, I'm usually quite a stickler on the denied operators licenses. But I also feel that at some point, people have to have a second chance. It's been almost 5 years that this instance happened. So this is probably one that I will vote to give them the bartender's license.
All right, I've sat on this board long enough to have this in front of us before. It's been brought up a couple of years ago where we had a gentleman in the same situation. Make it long and short, he got a second chance. I think your record shows that you have improved yourself over the years of straightening yourself out. We all make mistakes. Just so happens, I don't want to step on the enforcement side of this, but I do believe in second chances. The only stipulation I would put in this is that you just screw up a half a time and you'd be done. It's that simple. If I were to vote, if we do vote on this, I would be happy to give you a second chance. But you know the stipulations that's underneath it, because we will. Thank you. We will definitely yank you from that immediately.
I do appreciate, excuse me, getting a second chance, and I do feel that, at some point, I do need to be able to redeem myself and prove that I have moved on, and this is just one of those things that I'm, going for, getting, and it'd just be a good thing to have, and I do appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to grant the appeal of Mr. Mascalo and grant him the license, operator's license.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the denied operator's license and grant the license to Mr. Mascalo. Any other discussion? All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Just remember what Trustee Paul said, so.
Thank you all very much.
All right.
Really, really appreciate
Good luck,
it. Thank
good
you.
luck, good luck.
Good luck. Thank you. 10C, action on Class B beer, Class B liquor license for combo exception for Yuki LLC, DBA Nakashima of Japan.
Missed
But
one.
you skipped it, but we can take that one if you want out of
Oh, I'm
order.
sorry.
Well, I was going to say,
Oh, I'm sorry, I did that.
B
I-
comes before C.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, speaking Nakashima, as the folks just left, there is a new buyer, Yuki LLC. Everything's in order as far as paperwork and fees, no issues.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the combo exception for Yuki LLC.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Mike did.
Mike.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll do 10B.
There we go.
Action on Class B beer, Class B liquor license, Wisconsin Apple LLC, DBA Applebee's. Patrick.
Okay, Wisconsin Apple LLC closes tomorrow with Apple Hospitality Group on the Applebee's on Hanson Road. Again, all paperwork is in order. The surrender letter is also included. There are no issues from a paperwork or fee requirement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve that Class B beer, Class B liquor for Wisconsin Apple LLC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 10D, action regarding requested site plan review for the Revolution, parcel VA-87-6, 2160 Holmgren Way. Aaron?
Okay, as mentioned, this is a site plan approval for the Revolution, which is within the former Team 2 sports building on Holmgren Way. The proposal is to purchase the property, renovate it for use as a salon, as well as a couple leasable spaces. As far as exterior improvements, the plan is to paint the brick exterior, remove the current overhead door on the south elevation, replace it with a glass overhead door that could be opened up for outdoor seating for supportive type uses, whether it's a coffee shop, a healthy eatery, something along those lines. Additional improvements would include a storefront door with windows, 3 steel facade panels with gooseneck downward directed lighting over the entrances. Of course, the facade panels will utilize concealed fasteners. New rooftop mechanicals will need to be screened from view per village code. Mr. Travis Ulmer, as owner or future owner of the building and the business, is in the audience. If you have any questions for him. Otherwise, they do have some conditions of approval as reviewed and recommended by Site Plan Review Committee and Planning Commission. Those include the mechanical screening, ensure adequate turn radius into the parking lot from Marvell's provided for fire department access. The Knox box must stay in place or be reinstalled next to the main entrance before occupancy. And recommendation from Bike and Ped to include a bicycle parking for customers and or employees.
Aaron, I got a question. The renovation of a facility, a business like this, doesn't usually come before us.
This is within the Village Center District. And within the village's code, any site plans within the Village Center or Sports and Entertainment District do require review and approval by Plan Commission and Village Board in addition to site plan review.
Any revision?
Yep, yes, that's as it stands right now. We certainly would be more than happy to review that requirement and just have it be taken care of at site plan like the rest of the village.
So what do we have to do to modify that?
Amend the ordinance, just to take out that requirement.
How big is that area that we're talking about?
It's right across the street.
Yeah, I know, but how big's the area?
It's the area basically from Oneida Street south to Cormier, Cormier over to Ashland, Ashland up to Lombardy.
Oh, it's quite a big area. But it's a large area.
It is. We are seeing a lot of redevelopment activity in the
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
And unfortunately, what this does is it does slow things down by a month, is what it comes down to.
I believe when we put this ordinance into place, it was done, we were, other than Chris and Allison, I believe all of us were on the board when this ordinance was put into place. And it was done with the thought process that there was going to be different design standards and stuff that was going to be in the village center area, sports and entertainment area, and the board wanted to see it. And that's why we have this ordinance.
Aaron, clarify for me the painting of the brick. It's not a good thing to paint brick. It doesn't last. It's impossible to remove. So are we talking about concrete block, or are we talking about hand-laid brick here?
These are actually concrete block. The current exterior material is probably, I'm going to say, 20 years old. And it's worn and dirty. The paint will certainly spruce it up.
Okay. And the material used will be for concrete sealing and painting?
Absolutely. Won't
Okay.
be your Fleet Farm latex, that's for sure.
Okay.
You're kind of right there, Mike, but the only way, once you paint it, you got to keep painting it. You can
Right.
water blast it and then repaint it again, and it works out. So I didn't see a problem. Being on the site plan committee, we thought it was a great addition to the existing building that's been vacant for a while. So there's no other comments. I'll move to approve the new look that we're giving this building, along with the conditions that Aaron mentioned.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the requested site plan for the Revolution at 2160 Holmgren Way. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I do have a question though for Aaron. Did we set some site plan, some conditions for this area, or is it something we should revisit?
In terms of bringing it to Plan Commission and to the board,
Yeah.
personally, I think it's something that should be looked at again. I mean, I see the activity has to happen so fast, and I think site plan review does a really good job of really diving into the details of it and addressing those concerns. What I've seen just in my 2 years here is that basically when these projects come through site plan review in the village center or sports entertainment, site plan has really addressed any issues, and they go through Plan Commission and Village Board just kind of as a matter of course. So I certainly see a benefit in just leaving it at site plan like the rest of the community. But I guess, that's direction to be provided from the board.
Well, just so you know, I'm not opposed to that, but I'm also in favor of the board looking at some of the things that, maybe there's a dollar amount. I mean, I can't see a $500,000 or $750,000 or $1 million project going up there without this board looking at it.
Right, and
So-
that's why this ordinance was put into
Yeah.
place.
I mean, I can see some things that are relatively minor, whatever that means, but.
Well, I'll give you an example. If I was going to paint my building or something like that, I would have to get approval on that from the village to do that?
General maintenance does not need approval for site plan review.
Well, is painting the building here, basically.
He's also adding in some signage, those steel brackets, as well as changing out the overhead garage door.
That's, okay.
It's
Well,
basically taking a freestanding building and making three different rental properties to it. So there is some structural work that is being done on this project.
I think we should approve Mark's paint. I mean, I'm good with that.
throwing an idea out there because usually we don't see renovations like this come before us, and I just,
Well,
as a business owner, I'm concerned about it, I guess.
I think we could bring something back with some different options. Keep in mind there's some larger sites that you're going to see anyway because of the village ownership, or if there's TIF assistance provided in these larger projects, you're going to see it anyway. But in a project such as this, this is the third time we've brought the same person back to do this. So
looking right down the street here, we've had the Stadium View redo their project. Ironman Printing redid them. They all came in front of this board.
Well, good luck to you, sir.
Okay.
So do we want to bring a different standard back or have site plan take a look at this?
Well, like I said, what we'd have to do is we have to look at the fact that people on the board, okay, so we're gonna take 3 people on that side, and there were 2 people on that side that wanted to see these things. So if we don't want to anymore, I guess we'll have to bring it back and change it. But I'm just telling you why the ordinance was put into place.
Oh, I understand. Just
So,
throw it out.
because what was happening is when there were things happening down in this area, there were questions from people on the board as to, well, how come we never get to see this? How come we never saw this? Well, it was at site plan. Well, not all of us sit on site plan, so that's why it then became the procedure it is. So if you want to see that changed, we'll have to change it. So,
Well, now, maybe we won't have to change it. Don't be making changes now when we haven't voted on it, Madam Chair.
okay. Okay,
What are you
10
gonna bring back? I'm sorry, what are you gonna bring back?
options.
Options? Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine, that's a good idea.
Okay, 10E, action regarding requested site plan review for the Green Bay Packers, 848 Mike McCarthy Way, parcel VA-53. Aaron?
Okay, this is a similar project where it's relatively small. The request is to add a 20 by 25 addition to the north side of an existing storage building for the Packers off of Mike McCarthy Way. The addition will be used for storage of practice equipment, while the remaining larger portion of the building that was previously standing will be used to house a boiler to heat Hinkle Field. As depicted in the site plan, the entire building will be sided with an insulated metal wall panel with concealed fasteners that have a precast finish, as well as a 3-foot masonry veneer wainscoting as required by our code. Similar to the last one, because this is within the sports entertainment zoning district, it does come before Plan Commission and Village Board. In terms of conditions of approval, our standard requirements as listed in the code requiring concealed fasteners, 3-foot masonry wainscoting, screening of any ground-mounted or roof-mounted mechanicals, and then working with Public Safety Department during construction to provide a Knox box for Fire Department emergency access to the building.
He submitted more with this than I've seen with some $10 million projects. Holy man.
Mark, how they coming with that project?
Yeah.
No.
Just look out your window and see that
I'll
one.
move to approve with the staff conditions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the requested site plan review for the Green Bay Packers, 848 Mike McCarthy Way,
With staff conditions.
with staff conditions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
God, these-
10F, action on 2020 health insurance plan incentives. Allison?
So it's that time of year again, and normally we've talked about this at budget time, but I have to start open enrollment next week before you actually get to your budget meeting. Overall, our projections on insurance are very good. We're doing well under budget on both our HSA plan and our PPO plan. Last year, we made some pretty significant changes to deductibles and all that kind of stuff, particularly on the PPO plan, and there was a lot of movement, a lot of consternation. But one of the discussion points with the employees was, at some point, we're going to wean off that PPO, and we're going to all be on this HSA plan. So the frequent question is, when is that going to happen, and what does that look like? So our focus this year was kind of making that transition. Where do we go? So because we are doing well this year, typically in past years, come December, we would forgive the premium portion as kind of a reward to the employees that there's savings there and recognize that back. And it was also a recognized savings by the village because we weren't paying that employee contribution into our health fund either. What we'd like to do this year is kind of switch it up and really try to incentivize. We have about 50% of our employees are still on that PPO plan. So we would incentivize them through a January contribution to anybody who enrolls in the high deductible HSA plan. The proposal is that it would be $500 for a single employee plus one at $750 and $1,000 for family. There would be federal law requires additional changes to the HSA in terms of it has ratcheted up the deductible on that side, so that on a family side it goes up another $100, so it'd be like $2,800. There would be no changes on the PPO side, so we're really just kind of tracking that HSA side, but it's still, for the majority of employees, it's still very beneficial to be on the HSA. It's just, for a lot of them, it's the risk of, if I have a big bill right away in January or something happens, how do I make that payment? Because I haven't yet contributed enough to their personal health savings account to cover those expenses. So we feel that this would kind of help bridge that gap, get people over that hump. If a new employee would start, they would get that incentive prorated, depending on what month they started on.
We had an HSA at the county years ago, but I forget. Do the employees decide how much to put into that, or is that decided on their wages?
They decide that. So it's a little different. Some of that, like at the county, it's actually a health reimbursement account, so the county was keeping that money. In this case, the employee it's up, their personal account goes with them wherever they go. It's the majority of it
But they decide how much
is
they
their
want to
money.
put into it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And the employer can contribute. There's no way for us to claw that money back. So if we make this incentive payment in January and we do it in the lump sum as proposed, somebody quits or whatever in February, we are out that money, but we have really low turnover, so I'm not as concerned about that overall. I looked at dividing that out by 12 payments, and there's such a small amount of money, relatively speaking, that I don't think it solves the problem we're trying to create. I mean, if you're really worried about it, I guess I would go to like trying to split it and do it at January and July 1st or something like that. But for us, it's easier to make that one-time contribution and from an administrative standpoint rather than trying to, and people can plan accordingly because there are maximum contribution limits that they can make to their health savings account as well.
So is that payment, that 94,000, does that come out of general fund, or does that get applied to the insurance fund for next year then?
That would come out, we're actually utilizing savings from this year that we would use out of that. We have a healthy reserve in our health fund, so we'd actually use those funds to do it. And that assumes that every single employee moves over. So that's not likely to happen anyway.
This is instead of the December payment?
Correct. There would be no incentive to either group this year for December, and let's try and focus it on next year. And then with this, we would also tell employees that come 2021, there would be no HSA at all, that all employees would have to switch at that point.
No PPO?
No PPO, sorry, my bad. No PPO in 2021. And at that point too, so technically, by making this switch, if everybody switched over, we could potentially be underfunded in our health fund by about $42,000. Not likely to happen. That's the actuarial projection, and we run well below that anyway. But we still have about 6 months of costs in reserve overall, so we still can bear that risk. And we, to some degree, if we had a really, really bad year, we're bearing that anyway. But the thought is that we would bear it this year, and then in the following year, employees would also have to make a premium contribution, because keep in mind, the people on the HSA currently are not making any employee premium contribution. So they're not paying anything to have insurance. That was part of the initial incentive, was rather than pay the village your 11%, pay it to yourself and keep it in that account. And so last year we had probably another 20, 25 people move over in terms of, hey, with the other deductible changes, the plans are looking a little closer. But I think we're at that final hump. This is the last thing that's going to kind of take people to move over. And, if they do it this year, they kind of have that nest egg. And we would tell them in the future years, there's no guarantee that there would be any incentive whatsoever. So you may hear in a lot of other program or plans, sometimes there are incentives, but the employer may do a $1,000 incentive, but your deductible may be $5,000. So we're trying to be somewhat transparent and saying, look, we'll keep our deductibles at those minimum federally required amounts, but it does no good to say, hey, we're going to jack up the deductible and then give you a premium or give you a HSA contribution. It all becomes a wash in terms of where that cash flow comes from overall.
I move to approve the requested action on the 2020 health insurance plan incentives.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the 2020 health insurance plan with incentives. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10G, review and action on the bid award for the Alden Station Infrastructure Construction Contract, former South Broadway Schneider Trucking Maintenance Facility site. Mr. Martin.
Yes, good evening, everybody. If you remember over the past months, it started out with the village purchasing the former Broadway Schneider Trucking Maintenance Facility site. Over the past 2 months, you've approved contracts for the asbestos inspection and remediation on the site. And I want to say it was 2 months ago, you approved the contract for the above-grade demolition of all buildings above grade at the site. All that work has been completed, but in the meantime, the design work has wrapped up with regards to the site grading plan, the site utilities, the roadway plan, basically turning this site from what it looks like now into residential lots for future sale. So that's what this contract before you tonight entails. Open bid last Monday, had 5 pre-qualified bidders that submitted bids with a base bid ranging from, as you see in the document, a little over 2.7 million to just over 3.7 million. Excuse me. There were a couple of items due to the complexity of this project, and you're dealing with site contaminants, moving site contaminants, various DNR approvals. We had to put some supplemental bid items. Supplemental bid items are bid items that you could add to your base bid. Some of those include if we run into more contaminants than what the soil testing has shown us to date, we have supplemental bid items that we can use and get numbers in, so we're not doing a change order. We have those numbers up front. We know what those numbers are going in, and the contractor can't jack up their prices via a change order during the project. One of the items that we also have in there is the tipping fees for all the material, contaminated material that has to go to a landfill. We put a bid item in there to get what that tipping fee is, and it was listed that the village would pay that tipping fee so that there aren't any taxes on those tipping fees, so it gets you a lower price. So we're selecting that one supplemental bid item to add to the base bid with regards to the tipping fees. There's then 2 alternate bid items for the water main piping on the site. The DNR reviews every water main design that we do and we put in the ground, and we typically use PVC pipe for our water main in the village. Because we're dealing with contaminated or formerly contaminated soils, the DNR, through their review, required ductile iron water main that is wrapped with polyethylene encasement and a different type of gasket to protect the water system in the future should anything migrate through. So we had to use that alternate bid item, get numbers and pluck that and put that into the base bid. That's why you're seeing a recommended bid award of I'll read off the exact number, $3.145516 million, $3,145,516. That's taking into account the tipping fees that we need to get rid of the material, contaminated material on site, and substituting in ductile iron water main pipe instead of PVC pipe. The low bidder was Riverview Construction, and we'd be recommending approval to them of this contract. And we did a little background checking on them. We've used, they acquired RC Excavating. RC Excavating has done a number of pond projects for us. Riverview Construction is a larger firm. They do a lot of landfill work. They've done work at the Outagamie County landfill. They've done work for Brown County. We've gotten rave reviews on them, actually, which was good to hear. That they have a lot of manpower and a lot of equipment for doing a project just like we're looking at here. With that, I kind of went on there a little bit, but I'll answer any questions you have specifically.
That's what I was going to ask you, whether Riverview, I've never heard of them, but you're okay with them.
Yeah, actually, Brown County Port and Solid Waste called us because they were working with them and possibly providing some of the clay material we'd be looking for on site.
Oh.
And they were happy to hear Riverview was the apparent low bidder.
All right. Thank you.
So Riverview will be doing all of this for the amount of 3.1 million, is what you're saying then?
That's what the bid is going into the project.
To Riverview?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We have, as you can see in the write-up, the amount that we're awarding the contract for is actually a little less than what was budgeted, so we have a little contingency in there. And in a project of this nature, we need that contingency. So we were pleasantly surprised to see the bids come in where they did. Because when you're dealing with a contaminated or formerly contaminated site, once you start digging in there, you may come across, even though the site has been vigorously tested over the past 10 months, if you come across something, you have to act upon it then. That's why you saw all those other supplemental bid items in there. So we had numbers in case we had to.
Will we bond
address
for
those.
this now, or how does this work?
We already did.
We did?
Yep, that was our last bonding. Month or 2 months.
Okay. All right, thank you.
The $500,000 of grant money that Aaron applied for. Did we receive that, or where are we on that, Aaron?
We're still waiting to hear from Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. We just submitted the final piece of information, which is the signed development agreement with Redu Homes last week. So I hope to hear back soon.
Okay, all right.
I'll move to approve the bid award for the, let's see, what do we call it here? The Alda Station Infrastructure Construction to Riverview Construction, Inc. in the amount of $3,145,516.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to award the bid to Riverview Construction, Inc. in the amount of $3,145,516. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 10H, request to approve ordinance 010-1-19, grass and brush raking. Tony?
The proposed ordinance is at the request of Public Works staff to provide some additional restrictions on people being able to rake additional items such as grass clippings and other similar yard waste debris into the street or gutter, creating issues with runoff and stormwater. So really what this ordinance does is provide some additional clarification as far as what is prohibited and what is allowed as far as being raked to the parkway.
What is there's nothing in this ordinance that, what happens if they do
If they do,
break it on the street?
then what they would receive a citation. It says
So-
that they cannot do that and they can only do it for grass clippings and, let's see, the other one. Leaves. Leaves and grass clippings are the only two items that can be raked into the parkway.
Yeah, but what happens if they break it on the street?
Then they receive a citation.
So do we have to amend that ordinance too then? for-
No, that's the first sentence of this section is the prohibition that they cannot rake that, and so then they'd be violating that ordinance, and then as a result, receive a citation or for a penalty.
So are they gonna get a warning first if they do it? Because this is done by everybody.
Yeah, that would be up
That's
to
terrible.
the discretion of Public Works staff, but I would presume that they would do warnings. In fact, I believe there is kind of like a ticket of sorts, or a notice that people receive first, which indicates the language that's in this ordinance. So they'll receive that, and then if they could continue to do it after receiving that notification, then they could receive or will likely receive a citation.
And Mark, there's going to have to be some communication, or as Tony's saying, some warnings up front. Over the years here at the village, there's been, the ordinance has almost always stated that you couldn't rake it out into the street, but at a few points in time over our history here, it's been said at village board that you could, even though the village ordinance said you couldn't. So there's some confusion that has happened over the years, and I think some people see the village going out and raking as the leaf vacuums are coming through. They see us raking it into the street as the trucks are picking it up, and they think, well, if the truck is doing that, we can too. And that's what we've been going through, or the crews have been going through, letting folks know that they can't. But there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve here because there's been some
So are we gonna do
misinformation
something?
over the years.
Are we gonna do something to alert the public that this is prohibited?
Yeah, we've got it going out in the brochures, the Park and Rec brochures. We've got it out on the internet. So we're getting the word out there. Like we said, it's going to take a little time to get people following it.
There was a good article in the press last week, too, about this. And I know this was one of former President Obbinger's pet peeves, that people would fill the gutters. My comment at Public Works was, people have to understand how many millions of dollars the tax base has gone into our stormwater system, And every time this stuff goes in the stormwater system, it costs us a lot more money to clean the storage ponds, the pipes, all of that.
Well, I agree with Mark and Mike, but we're going to have to keep records, good records, because I agree that if someone does it in violation of the ordinance, they ought to receive a warning. The second time it happens at the same location, that's perhaps the time to issue a citation, but then we have to back up the fact that, hey, you did it once, we sent you a letter, and you did it again. So I think you're right, we're gonna get calls galore on this, which is okay, As Mike said, it's expensive to do it, but my question is anywhere in this ordinance is the word parkway? I read this and I looked at parkway, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the word parkway means. I mean, I would say to the...
Behind the curb?
Well, I mean, parkway is a broad term, and frankly, I don't know when I read it, I had no idea what parkway meant. So,
Well, Doug, isn't the parkway considered the easement that you've gotten? I always say to people, you don't own 11 feet of property in front of your house. I know 11 feet is not probably the right number, but that's where the utilities run for gas. Gas is number one.
The parkway is the same thing as your terrace area. It's the area between the curb and gutter and the sidewalk line, if you will.
Right, right.
Every road is centered within a right-of-way, if you will.
right,
And the area outside of the road, from the curb to where the sidewalk line is in your driveway, roughly, is the terrace area. That is
oh, yeah,
public right-of-way.
if I'm putting a defense attorney's hat on, if I'm challenging a citation, I'm gonna say, what in the world does parkway mean? We don't have it defined anywhere, and that's the only thing that, I'm all for the ordinance, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if just setting the word parkway in there is sufficient to give people notice of where they can rake it to.
Do we add a simple line drawing?
Behind the curb?
Terrace?
Whatever works. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe parkway's sufficient, but when I saw it, I did not know what that meant.
Because you never raked your leaves.
You know, there obviously are people that know that, you know, it said, the ordinance already says, no person shall place nor rake leaves. Because I got a call today, a person who lives in Ashwaubenon was complaining about their neighbor doing this all the time. So the word is out that these people know that they're not supposed to. There's actually professional services that I've seen cut the lawn and they leave the
Oh,
grass
yeah.
clippings in the middle of the road.
Yep.
So, middle of the gutter. So, I don't know. Can-
You know, like you said, Mary, the word's out. I've had people talk to me about it already. The only question I got on this, you know, we come up with different ordinances about this, that, and whatever, you know. Who's going to police all this stuff? There's just a few pet peeves, and I'm sure Aaron knows what mine are because I talked to him about it. But, you know, we're not policing stuff like this. You know, that's my only question. If you create an ordinance, police it and make sure it's maintained. Once people get the drift that, hey, we mean what we're talking about, I think it'll take care of itself. But if you're not going to police it, it's no sense in even talking about this.
Yeah, Gary, one of the items that this deals with is the trustee that handles wards 3 and 4. We were going to have police this for us.
Very good. I'll take
So-
care of it, but you better act on it.
No, what it was is Lee Van Nelson, our street operations superintendent, asked for this clarification because when he's going out leading the crews into these areas, he's driving those streets and he'd like the ability to be able to talk to some of these people and show right in writing what can and can't be done. It's a little, like I said, it's a little gray right now, so what Tony drafted makes it much more black and white, much more easy to follow, and it allows him to talk to the folks and get the compliance.
You know, the thing that I see, and the leaves are starting to fall right now, and there's leaves in the gutters, in the parkways, halfway into the middle of the street. And people are going to say, well, look at this, you're not picking up leaves, you know. Now, you did bring up a good thing about, we know where the leaf pickers are now, and they know when they're gonna come. But, you know, I'm just looking at my area, it don't make a difference if I'm blowing leaves in front of the curb or over the curb, because the curbs, or the gutters are already full.
Until the weather dries out a little bit, the leaf vacuums, trying to pick everything up out of the gutter line will be difficult. If we get a dry day, then they're able to swing the boom on it and basically pick about a 6-foot swath going down the road and get that cleaned up. On rain days like today, they're going through picking up the piles only because they're clogging the chutes and the leaf vacuums because of the wet leaves.
So
So your
what-
point is duly noted that when it's dry out, then it goes a lot slower, but they're vacuuming the gutter line, they're stopping at the catch basins, and where they have it out in the street, they're able to get that cleaned up a little bit better.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
are we gonna change the parkway word?
I
Well,
feel comfortable enforcing it as parkway. I mean, you could change it to terrace, but then, as
If
you
you're
always
good with it, leave
have
it,
the
that's fine,
case,
that's fine.
it becomes arguable with all sorts
That's
of people,
fine.
so.
Okay,
No
we'll leave
problem.
it parkway.
Do we even need that part of the sentence in there at all? Because the first sentence just kind of sums it all up right there. You're just kind of repeating yourself, aren't you?
Well, we're saying what is allowed in the second part of the sentence.
Okay.
As far as raking the leaves and grass is allowed to be raked out.
Okay.
The other stuff is just prohibited altogether in the street or into the street.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve as it stands.
Second?
Marco, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 010-1-19. Any more discussion?
Have any leaves?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Talk about a hot potato.
Motion carried. 11, items for next agenda. Allison, you and Aaron will work on that ordinance options. Okay, number 12.
During the meeting, the village board of the Village of Ashwaubenon may convene into closed session pursuant to A, Wisconsin statute section 19.85, parens 1, parens E, for the purpose of possible discussion and action on deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business regarding the development of parcels VA-56-4-1, VA-54-2, VA-55, VA-55-A, VA-55-6, and VA-55-D related to tax incremental district number 3 and 5, where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. B, Wisconsin statute section 19.85, parens 1, parens E, for the purpose of possible discussion and action on deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business regarding the development of parcel VA-1404 related to tax incremental district number 3, where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. And lastly, C, Wisconsin statute section 19.85, parens 1, parens E, for the purpose of possible discussion and action on deliberating or negotiating the investing of public funds or conducting other specified public business regarding the Ashwaubenon Public Safety Study, where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The village board may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85, parens 2, to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
Move to go to closed session.
Second.
Motion and a second to go into closed session. Voice.
Roll call.
Go-
Trustee Allison Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Paul.
Yes.
Trustee Zerbal.
Yes.
Trustee Mark Williams.
Yep.
Trustee Bukowski.
Aye.
Trustee Melchesky.
Yes.
President Kardowski.
Yes.
We are in closed session.